You are listening to the Horse Radio Network, part of the Equine Network family.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Wood.
And I'm Jennifer Connor.
From Equestrian Businesswomen, and you're listening to Equestrian B2B, the podcast that brings together industry leaders, entrepreneurs, and equestrians for conversations about how they build and sustain a successful business.
On today's show, we speak with Kat Guenther about being a young entrepreneur, managing her side hustles, and working at a tech startup.
Kat Guenther is a 22-year-old recent graduate from the University of Michigan. Since her first horseback riding lesson at the young age of 8 years old, she has been a proud horse girl ever since. During her middle school and high school years, Kat showed American quarter horses all around the nation, collecting many titles at shows like the AQHYA World Show and the All-American Quarter Horse Congress.
Nowadays, you can find Kat working with her two gypsy vanners, Pork Chop and Aspen, as well as working on her equine industry-based side businesses Behind the Bit Show Clothing and Equine Redefined. During the day, she works in sales and marketing at Ready Signal, a new tech startup based in Ann Arbor, Michigan. Hi, Kat. Welcome to the podcast. We're so happy to have you on today.
Hi. Thank you for having me. I'm very excited to be here.
I just have to let our listeners know that the way that we connected was exactly what Equestrian Businesswomen is about. And Kat had found me on LinkedIn and she reached out to me and asked for a call to find out about Equestrian Businesswomen. And I was like, yes, let's definitely have a call. So I was really impressed that you put yourself out there, that you took the initiative to kind of seek out other women in the equine industry. And we had a great chat. While we were chatting initially, we were talking about how so many times people think that when they grow up in this industry, they have to be a trainer or a rider or, a farrier or a veterinarian. And you had told me that that was something that you had thought about. So what made you think that you wanted to be a vet?
I just loved animals. I was a little kid and I was like, I love animals. I want to help them. And naturally you think, okay, the best way to do that is to be a veterinarian. And my uncle, he owns a small animal clinic. So I grew up around that, like, if you love animals, you're a vet. So out of high school, I only applied to Michigan State because I was like, that is what I want to do. I'm from Michigan. That's the best vet program around. So I'm like, that is it. I got into it a little bit and said, nope, that is not it.
At what point did you realize that? Like right away? Was it a couple of years in? Like at what point was the change?
Yeah, so I started in the fall of 2019. So COVID hit that January in 2020. So they, sent us all home and everything. We did classes online. I was not loving the science classes for one. I was not into the biology and the chemistry and all that. So that was my first kind of sign. But then that summer, I had a little more time on my hands. So I went and worked at my uncle's clinic. And I got very much like real world in a veterinary center experience. And I liked being there and I loved hugging the animals. Like I would bring the dogs in and just play with them. But you don't get paid money to just pet people's dogs. So that's when I was like, that's not the right thing.
Did you think you wanted to be a small animal vet or were you looking for equine?
I was always leaning towards small animal.
Okay.
I was thinking about equine, but I've seen the hours that equine vets work, and it's crazy. They work their butts off.
Yeah. We've talked about that with some vets on the podcast before and how difficult it is for a job and how they're starting to kind of put into place ways to help them. And because so many vets are leaving the equine side of things and going into small animal for the money or the hours. And it's a definite issue that people have been talking about lately.
For sure. And it's dangerous. One of our vets that used to work on our mini horse, she got kicked in the head and she can't practice anymore. Like she had severe brain damage. So that happened when I was in high school and I was like, maybe being a horse vet's not for me.
I know sometimes we see the glamorous things, right? I remember being, I don't know, probably 12 and I was at this vet's farm and it was beautiful. And at the time they had like fans in all of the stalls and I was just like blown away by it. And I was like, I'm going to be a vet. And my mom's like, are you sure about that? Because, we live on a farm and you know how in the middle of the night, sometimes we have emergencies. She was like, you have to get up and deal with that. And I was like, oh, yeah, you're right. And like ever since then, I was like, that I never thought I wanted to be a vet after that, to be honest.
Yes. Similar experience. Yes.
And what was the hardest part, do you think, of kind of making that change and having to switch what you wanted to study?
So what happened is over COVID, I started designing my first product that it's called Rapstar, re-rolls wraps for horses. And I don't know, I just kind of fell in love with that process and the idea of being involved in like a business, like the industry of horses, but in a different way. And so during COVID, I had a lot of time to think because, I was at home and I was like, I'm going to just try to change over to Michigan. So I went from Michigan State to U of M. Both of my parents went to U of M. So we're a strong, like, go blue family. So they were like, they very much supported it. But the hardest part was just kind of letting go of what I thought my whole, I would say middle school to high school. I was like, I'm going to be a veterinarian. There's no doubt in my mind. Just changing that and being like, okay, it's okay not to be what I thought I had to be, if that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so many people, I mean, you had to go through it early in school, which I'm sure lots of people have before, but we've talked to women who have gone through that after, a huge career, decades in a career and having to pivot and change and do something else. And yeah, it's definitely a big life change, but do you have any regrets from changing?
I have no regrets. I loved U of M. I love Ann Arbor. I still support Michigan State. Okay. Like the game tomorrow is Michigan State versus Michigan. It's a big rivalry.
Yep.
So in this case, tomorrow I will be supporting U of M, but in all, like, I still support Michigan State. So
yep.
I don't regret changing.
And you just mentioned that you have your product. So with that product, what was your idea behind creating it? Like, did you see a problem and know a solution, or did you seek out a solution for a problem you were having? Can you kind of talk through, that process of your product that you developed?
For sure. So I just always loved to be creative with things and come up with new ideas or ways to make something better, whether it be a product, a business strategy, an idea, whatever. I was like, I want to put my extra time I have during COVID into something. So I was like, okay, what kind of products would be helpful to me in the barn? And rolling wraps has been something I have hated forever. My horse needed to be wrapped every night, every time he went in the trailer, every time we rode, different types of wraps, and I hated rolling them and they were never tight enough. And I always was picked on for it. Like, it was a thing that Kat could not make her wraps tight. So I said, okay, what could help me make my wraps tight? So then I just started going down a rabbit hole of like what products were already out there. And that's kind of the whole genesis of it.
How old were you?
At that point, I was 19.
Okay.
Yep. 19 years old, freshman in college.
And so you were home and you were just like doing research on that and trying to figure out.
Exactly. And my dad is a patent attorney, so he has a strong understanding of like the mechanics of it. So we both kind of sat down and did it together in a way. Because I was like, Dad, do you think this is an idea? I did all my market research. I have a strong network in the equine industry. So I just talked to as many people as I could. We saw that there was a need for it and a want. So I sat down with him and we designed it together. So it was very fun.
That's cool. How long did that process take you to get through to your final design?
Oh my goodness, probably like a year and a half.
Oh, wow.
The whole process, the design maybe took 6 to 8 months because we had to keep reiterating it. My dad's friend is a manufacturer, so he does a lot of patent work for him. And he was like, hey, Greg, can you talk to my daughter? So we had a conversation and he kind of drew up all the CAD and like the prototyping and everything. So we went through maybe 2 prototypes before we got to where we were like, okay, this is solid. This works. Let's make the molds. Let's put it into production. So the whole process was maybe a year and a half until I had like my first Rapstar in my hand.
Cool.
Oh, that's really cool.
So starting this business, did you have to come up with money to to be able to do all of this prototypes and things like that?
Mhm. So my mom invested a bit. So she has some invested in there. And then I also put a little bit of my money because I buy and sell horse show clothes and consign them and rent them. So it's not nearly enough, but I put in some of my money and then my mom put in some of her money. So,
Okay.
yeah. Kept it in the family.
And how does it work? Is it something you attach to a wall or?
That's the beauty of it. You can attach it to a wall. There's 4 little holes in each corner that you could screw it to a wall easily, to a barn stall, anything. But the beauty of it and the patented part of it is that there are hooks that are adjustable. So like, let's say you want to put it on a fence. You can adjust it to make it tight on that fence. You could put it on the side of your trailer. You could put it on your stall. It's portable and very easy to make nice and tight to that wall.
Oh, cool. Okay.
And did you, obviously you have horses, so you tried it out yourself, but did you market test it with other people that you knew?
Yeah, so I gave one to a reining barn. I gave one to a dressage barn. I sent a couple out to some friends and I'm like, hey, just use this. If you like it, cool. If you don't, give me feedback. Like you're not going to hurt my feelings. Just tell me what you like and you don't like. So that was a big part of it.
And then did they have feedback for you?
Yeah, so at first we didn't have the U-bar. So basically on the Rapstar, if you look at it, there's a spot where you feed in the Velcro before you put it through the actual bar. And that gives it some tension, so it's a tight wrap. The first one did not have that. So it was not as tight of a wrap as people wanted. So I'm like, okay, what's a way we can make it better? And that's when me and my dad sat down and he's like, if we have something that gives it that tension, it'll make it tight. So that was the big switch that was needed.
Yeah, I know. It's funny because my parents are real sticklers with their race barn about wraps, and that, the tighter you roll it, the better you can wrap it onto the leg.
Exactly.
So when when I was thinking about it, I was like, oh, I wonder if that would make it tight enough for like their standards,
Oh yeah, I've seen. So that was the thing too, is a lot of people don't like to change their ways. So if they're fast with wrapping, they're not going to get something that, they're like, I can do it. I'm not going to buy that. But I had a couple people, they bought a Rapstar and then challenged people in their barn to like roll faster than the Rapstar and send me videos. They did not roll faster. So Rapstar won and the wrap was tighter. So a lot of times the people were like, oh, I've been defeated.
That's really cool.
I was proven wrong.
That's a good little social media campaign there.
Like people are like, I can beat this thing. And most of the time, no.
You know what? I love rolling wraps.
I do too. I was so good at it.
Like I love to just walk through the barn and grab everybody's wraps and I'll roll them. And they're like, what are you doing? I'm like, I don't want to stand around and do nothing. So like I will roll wraps all day long. But that'd be so cool to just have a machine be like rolling them.
And it's fun. Like it genuinely is enjoyable. I don't mind doing it now because it's kind of relaxing. Just kind of watch it and then it looks like a beautiful wrap when you're done. You're like, dang, okay, I can do this more often.
I looked at it. So, you know what I was thinking about? I was thinking about those apple peelers where you put them and you like roll the apple on it. Yeah. Yep. Like I could do that all day long watching those peels go. Yeah.
Exactly. So I mean, I had a lady buy one and she said her kid likes to roll her wraps now, which I thought that was hilarious. So the kid goes to the barn and just rolls wraps because she likes to play with it.
That's great.
Like, yeah. That's amazing.
Yeah, my parents would, like, when we were little, they'd give us like 5 cents a wrap. So,
okay.
You had to
be making money.
Yeah. Yeah. So, some young entrepreneur out there, you could buy one and then go to your barn and start charging people for rolling.
Yes. Let's put that out into the universe.
Right.
Charge at horse shows. Be like 5 cents a wrap.
So once you started manufacturing, how did you bring it to a market and how did you distribute it?
Yeah, so at first I just kind of put it on my Behind the Bit show clothing page, and that's kind of how I started getting it out there, because on my own personal Facebook page for Behind the Bit, I have like 30,000 people, and I admin maybe like 10 groups or more on Facebook with over 500,000 people, so that's kind of the market I just kind of tested it with a little bit. Mm. I sold a couple, I would say maybe 200 to 300 that way. And then I started going to like expos. I just went to WESA in Dallas in August, made some connections with some distributors. So now I just got my first distributor deal this week. So I'm very excited about that.
That's amazing.
yeah, so that's kind of been, now we're really ramping up because all of this was when I was in college. Like I just graduated in June. So I was busy with just trying to get through school. But now that I'm graduated, I would say probably August is when I started really taking this seriously and like trying to get it out there, go to the expos, get distributors. So yeah.
What did you end up studying in school?
Psychology.
Oh, all right.
Everybody laughs when they hear that. They're like, this is random. But yes, very random. It was more like a consumer psychology basis, but
yeah.
That's pretty cool. Yeah. Actually, I mean, I went into school in psychology and then I switched to marketing. But, you know, there is so much psychology behind marketing and business. It's amazing. Like I read a lot of books and there's so many behind it. So,
oh yeah, the overlap is crazy. So it was very helpful. And like I said, I enjoyed U of M, so I have no complaints.
So you're not direct to customer anymore, or do you still do direct to customer and in distribution?
I mostly do direct to customer. Sorry. So I just got my website up and going. I'm getting more products on there as we speak. I think we have maybe 10 products. Rapstar is the one I invented. The others are more just partnerships. But distributor, this is a new territory for us. I have not worked with one before, but we're working with Jax. I don't know if you're familiar with them. Yep. So they're going to get their first shipment out next week.
Wow. And you're also on Amazon, right?
Yep. I got it on Amazon this summer. So
and what was that process like? Because we haven't had too many people that have products on Amazon. So can you just kind of talk about like how you got that done and what that requires of you?
Yeah, it was kind of a pain in the butt, honestly. Like once you get it on there, it's easy because so basically there's fulfilled by Amazon. So I send, let's say 20 to a warehouse and then they send it out to whoever buys it. They handle returns. Just saying we have not had a return with Rapstar because people love it, but they're supposed to handle returns and just like that kind of nitty gritty stuff. The hardest part was just getting the account set up because you need a Seller Central account to put a product on Amazon and you have to go through like all the tax stuff. There's just a bunch of information they need. So that was the hardest, like longest part of the process.
Okay. And then once you got it up, like do you have a warehouse that you keep your stuff in or you keep it at home? Like
I keep it this room. This is my office.
Okay.
So at this point I make Rapstars in my shed and, just hustle away.
So you actually put them together?
So basically I get the parts. So Greg and I will meet up. He'll give me boxes of all the parts and then I put them partially together because at first I shipped them as a whole unit ready to go, but it was too expensive. It's very lightweight. It's like, I think 2 to 3 pounds total. The Rapstar is very, very lightweight, but when it was all assembled, you needed a bigger box. So I assembled the hard parts of it, and then there's just very easy parts to put together when the consumer gets it. And then there's like a little QR code they can scan and watch a video on how to put it together if they need help. So I partially assemble them.
Oh, wow. That's a lot of work.
Yeah, it's a lot, but I love it.
Yeah. And I mean, also then you don't have to have hundreds totally all together at one time. You can kind of go as you need, right?
Exactly. Yes.
Oh, that must help with planning things out then.
Yes, it does help. It's a lot of work, but it's a lot of fun. And I've learned so much through this one little product, just about business and about networking and connecting with people. So it's been a journey.
Yeah, that's a really cool process to go through when you're young and be able to learn and have it not be make or break situation where you're dealing with millions of investors' dollars.
Exactly. We kept the cost as low as possible. So it's like low risk. Like, it's just been a very good process to learn. And
Have you thought at all about scaling up and what that would look like for you in the future?
For sure. So that's kind of what I'm testing right now with Equine Redefined. So at this point, it's a platform where I want to put innovative equestrian products and just cool products that people might need or, would help them in their daily lives at the barn. I'm still testing that out, that idea. It likely is going to pivot a million times, but that's just what I'm playing with right now. We're going to Equine Affair in Massachusetts in November. So that's gonna be a big thing of me just talking to people, showing them what I have, like just market research in person. That's the best way to do it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about that? Is it a website where you do like e-commerce, or how does it work?
So it's an e-commerce website. I'm only based online. Most of the stuff I have is stuff that I've partnered with people and I buy wholesale and sell. Some of the people I'm looking at getting on there are more drop shipping. Some are just straight up partnerships where I refer people to their website. So that's the trend of Equine Redefined so far.
Mm-hmm. And that's where you kind of put the Wrap Star as well for sale.
Yes. Yep. That is how it all started, was just like, I have Wrap Star. I can't really sell it in a horse show clothing market anymore. I mean, I can, but I don't want to taint my horse show clothes with just Wrap Star. So I was like, okay, I need to make a separate entity that I could have products and cool services, and I do a blog on there. So it's kind of just my little fun side project at the moment. I'm hoping I can scale it, but right now it's just a passion project.
Cool.
Yeah.
Do you think that your Wrap Star is going to be something that you have to like make a next generation of, or do you think you're pretty solid in what you have?
The problem is it's so solid. There's not much to do at the moment. I haven't gotten feedback that it breaks. I haven't gotten feedback that it's not working well. Like, so at this point, no. Possibly down the line, now that we're getting into distributors and whatnot, it'll be more in circulation out there. So that's a to be determined.
And in terms of that, obviously at some point it might get too big for you to keep having to put it together by yourself. What are your thoughts on that? So
I do have a family friend who is willing to invest in this and in me, really. He just sees potential in me. So he's like, Kat, if there's proof in the market, if you want to do this, let's go for it. I'm here to help you. So that's kind of the way that would trend if it ends up going that way. But I don't see that happening for a few more months at least. Those discussions happening. Just I gotta test the market a bit more, which Equine Affair will be a good one to do that at.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting. I'd like to circle back at some point and find out
how it went.
Yeah, how it went, and
sure.
Like what the pivot point is, because I think that's a very curious thing to know about is when do you know that you are in over your head, you need help, to expand it,
Exactly. Because right now, I mean, like I said, this is a passion project. I have a full-time day job, so I'm just juggling a lot. But I'm hoping eventually that this could be my job. Something with the horse industry, something with business. Just keeping my doors open.
So as we talk about the many things that you do on the side, not only do you have Wrap Star and the e-commerce site, but you've been an entrepreneur really from a young age. Can you talk about what inspired you to start renting show clothing?
Yeah, so I didn't start renting them until I was like 15, 16. But when I was 13 years old is when I started getting into quarter horse showing. And it's expensive. Horse showing is very expensive. So my dad said, I will pay for the board and the training. You pay for all your horse shows, everything related to it. If you want to do it, you got to do that. So
You'll find a way.
Okay, I will find a way. So I started buying and selling horse show clothes mostly, and then consigning them. Renting came a little later, but that ended up being a really good market. And then I did a bunch of random other things. I was a writer for Equine Magazine, an online magazine, for 4 or 5 years. And I dyed saddles. I made ads for people. I did a lot of just random. I would work at horse shows, be people's grooms. It was just a little bit of everything at that point.
Mm-hmm. And with the show clothing business, how did you recognize that could be something to make money on, or did you just enjoy it, or did you see a need for it?
Yeah, I just enjoyed it, honestly. I love the sparkle. I love all the crystals. It's fun. So I started going to tack sales, and I would get a shirt, let's say for $100, and then put it on my Facebook page for $200. So that's kind of how it started. I would, fix it up a little, add some more crystals. And it was, again, a passion project that just became bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Can you talk about the growth of that business and how you grew your audience to what it is today?
Yeah, so it's a very niche market, those
Mhm.
horse show clothing people. And I was very involved with horse showing. I would go, that was my life. Every weekend, everywhere, went all over the nation, got to like the Congress, Quarter Horse Congress, AQHYA World Show. Like I was very much involved with that. So I think a lot of it was the fact that I was very much in the market. Like people knew me, which was kind of
Right.
weird. Um, at the time, it was weird. I had a little girl walk up to me and she made me a stall sign for me and my horse. Like it was just
Oh,
stuff like that. So I think that's how it really started. And then I just had a big presence on Facebook. I still do, which was always funny because in high school, people would be like, "Why is Kat on Facebook? That's an old person app." And I'm like, I was like, I'm making money. Don't judge me.
I was actually thinking that at one point.
I
was
know,
like,
I did
wow,
too.
she's so
Yeah.
young.
You were
Yeah.
like, she has this huge audience on Facebook, and I'm like, how old is she?
Yeah.
You're like 22.
Yeah.
Wow,
That's
okay.
because that's where the buyers are. I mean, I have an Instagram as well with a few thousand followers, but teenagers don't usually have the money to drop $600 on a show shirt. So
Right.
it's that a little bit older audience that
Mhm.
is like, I'm going to get this shirt for my daughter. So
Yeah.
that's why Facebook is a better spot for that range.
Yeah, totally makes sense.
And then you're still doing where you do consignments or you sell them used clothes, but also do you rent them out too, right?
Yep, correct.
And what's that portion of the business? Is it more rentals or more sales?
I would say more sales. Rentals is a big part of it, but the consignment stuff is what I've really been focusing on because I've just been so busy with so many other things that it's a good way where I don't have to invest in the shirt, but I can help people sell it and then just take, my commission.
Mm.
So I've been really emphasizing the consignments at this point.
Do you actually
Yeah.
have that in hand, your consignments, or you're just like advertising for them?
So that's actually a good point. At first, I did not. Like I would just have them take photos and send them to me. But then I got in a whole thing with the photos because somebody who was in a different shop took the photos that they sent to me. And so it was a whole thing like, those are my photos, yada, yada. So I changed it. And I'm like, now people send it to me and I just keep it more uniform. I use the same background. So yeah, now they're required to send me the clothes and I do all that in person. And then the measurements just to make sure they're accurate because you'd be surprised at how people do not know how to measure their clothes or themselves. So
Yeah.
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 Yeah. So
And I'm sure sizing isn't uniform across brands and things like that.
for sure. And a lot of these pieces are custom. So then you have the whole other layer of, it was made to fit someone else.
Right.
So then, yeah. So we have a return policy for that reason, just in case they can't work.
Where do you keep all this stuff?
This is my office.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Yep. I've converted my dad's old office in the house into my office and it kind of looks like a tornado hit, but we're just trying to juggle a few different businesses in here.
Right. Yeah, that's a lot.
I mean, that's like truly homegrown.
Right.
Very much so.
I love it though. That's what it takes sometimes, right? Is working with what you've got until you can do something bigger. And maybe this is how it works best, for quite a while.
Exactly. Right now, the process is working.
Mhm.
Fingers crossed it grows and we need to do something else. But if not, I got the process in this room here.
Mhm.
Yeah. I mean, and that's really good for our listeners to understand that you don't have to go out and have a fancy space or a fancy office or even
Warehouse.
a big warehouse. Exactly.
No.
Like you can start from where you're at and just start and see where it goes from there.
Exactly. And like I said, in my day job, I work for a tech company, a tech startup in Ann Arbor, and they laugh at me because I have horse show clothes all on that wall, rap stars all on that wall, and they're just like, "Kat, what are you doing?"
And since you mentioned that you work at a tech startup, can you kind of talk about what your job is and what your role is and how you got into working for a tech startup?
Yeah, so I found them on LinkedIn, like the job postings on LinkedIn. I really love the startup environment, so that's why I was looking for that kind of space. I have no background in tech, none at all. And I'm sales for them. So this past 2 months, I started beginning of September, and it's just been learning about APIs and the different databases and Noah and Fred. And it's just been, I've talked to a lot of data scientists, never thought I would be doing that. But it's very interesting. I just love learning and being in a small environment. There's 5 of us. Like, it's very close knit. We all kind of take different hats when we need to. So I've enjoyed it so far.
That's cool. And what's your role and what have you learned the most?
Yeah, so I do sales, and what I've learned the most is people do not like salespeople.
Yeah,
that's what I've learned, and so it's making it, when you reach out to someone, more of like a networking and a connection route rather than like, "Hi, I'm Kat. I want to sell you something. Listen to me," because nobody's going to respond to that. So that's what I've learned the most so far, is just being genuine with what you're trying to do and just genuinely be interested in the other like customer and the other person, and see if there's a way that you guys can like merge some type of agreement or some type of partnership. And if not, no big deal. So that's the biggest lesson so far I've learned in 2 months.
I think that's a really good perspective.
Because people do not like salespeople.
Is it a matter of like working from a list of people that they already know kind of who you are and what you do, or is it complete cold calling?
So there's no cold calling. All of what I do is reach out on LinkedIn. So like, I have LinkedIn Sales Navigator, and I develop lead lists. My LinkedIn is about 700 data scientists and like head of demand planning for companies and stuff. So that's how I mostly reach out to people, is through there, and try to set up like an intro call. No cold calling, luckily, because people do not like cold callers either.
Yeah, especially.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I've never heard anyone talk about kind of using LinkedIn as a sales platform. How difficult is it? I mean, obviously all the information is there, but how much does it take to kind of get those lists of who you want to reach?
Like actually forming the lists, like the lead lists? With LinkedIn Sales Navigator, it is not hard, because you can go in and put like the company name, company headcount. If they went to the same school as you, there's so many filters you can go through. And so that part makes it really easy. Now, getting that lead list into my Seamless, which is how I get like the emails and whatnot, to drop them into HubSpot, to put them in the email sequences, that's a whole other story. That's a little bit of a headache. But as far as LinkedIn goes, it's pretty straightforward to kind of use and find who I need to talk to.
I think that's really
that's a whole other story.
Idea. Yeah, because I bet there's a lot of people, in our industry that don't realize that that's a possibility for them in order to just get contacts.
For sure.
Did you use that like when you had found me and to connect with me? Were you doing a search for equestrian business women or women in the equine industry?
So I actually found you on one of the groups. It was like one of the marketing or one of those type of groups. I've looked for people in the equine industry. It doesn't come up if you look up like equestrian or anything, but if you look up a company, so let's say Dover or something, then people will come up. But with you, I found you on one of the groups.
Okay.
I was like, this sounds really cool. I need to reach out to her.
Yeah. Well, I love that. I love that you've put yourself out there. I also love that you're looking at sales as more of a networking, because I'm the same way. I'm not a hard salesperson at all. I like to have relationships with the people that I'm selling to, and know the product that I have is something that they're going to want, and kind of put it together, instead of being like, oh, everybody's going to buy this. So
exactly.
Yeah. And also that makes it a little less like personal when people say no, right? Like
exactly. And I'm not scared of being told no, but nobody likes to be told no. So you're just like, okay, well, we're still friends.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah.
And to go back a little bit to the show clothes business, when you started selling on Facebook, is your audience on like an official business page, or is it a group? How did you start that and build it?
Yeah, so I made a Facebook business page. So it's an official page called Behind the Bit Show Clothing. if you look at the old profile picture, you could see what 13-year-old me thought was a good idea. It's hilarious. I've tried to hide it on the page. Yeah. So it started off as a Facebook business page group, and then I just shared to a lot of the different groups. So like show clothes on a budget, new to you show clothing, show clothes and horse tack for sale. Like these are just different groups that I started just because I was like, I need a spot to share behind the bits stuff onto. So for example, show clothes and horse tack, I think I started that at the beginning, and it's at like 80,000 people or something in it. So that's just in the group. That's separate from my behind the bit. Now there's some overlap. Like some people might be in the group and like behind the bit. Yeah. But that's kind of the strategy for reaching them.
I'm pretty sure I'm in that group. And yeah, that is a good strategy though, to start groups like that to drive them to your business page.
Exactly.
Yeah. I feel like groups grow so fast, whereas if you start a new business page, to grow it organically is almost impossible anymore. It's
very tough because then people feel like they need to interact with your business or buy from you, whereas with a group, it's just you're part of this big group. You're not. There's no commitment. You know, if you catch their eyeballs when they're scrolling, that's a win.
Right.
So,
yeah, that's
and I like that you made your own group so that, because I think a lot of groups you go on, if it's about horses or a community, they're like, you can't post anything for sale on it.
Yeah, there's a lot of that.
Yeah,
for sure.
So
I mean,
you just started your own and said, here, all this is for sale.
Yes, exactly. I like to be the admin of my group, so I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna make my own. Me and my mom are admins. We take care of it. And in the years, I've added more admins on because a lot of spammers come in or they fall through the cracks, or like the Indian markets that are like knocking off designers, you know, they get in there. I've had one of those overseas designers actually go like message me with my own photos of show clothes and be like, I will sell this to you for $100. I'm like, that jacket is in my office. And
wow.
We try to keep them out, but I've added more moderators to the groups over the years.
Interesting. I just think it's really fascinating that so much, even though you have tangible products, so much of your business has just been on a social media platform.
It has been. Yep. It's the best way to reach people. So I've been trying to use full advantage of it. I've been trying TikTok. I know that's what everyone uses nowadays. So I've been trying to make some videos on there of, the products but Facebook is my bread and butter.
Interesting. Yeah. So many people feel like they have to rush into the newest, biggest thing, and maybe it's not always a fit for your business or how you reach your audience.
That is so true, especially with like products, platforms, whatever. You don't always have to you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You can go to the things that are tried and true and start there and then grow. That's how I see it.
Yeah. And so as a recent college graduate, what advice would you give to people, your age and younger?
I would say don't rush it. Just see what you enjoy doing, what you genuinely enjoy doing. Obviously, you have to take care of, where you're living and make sure you have food and water and stuff. But as far as if you have all that taken care of, take the time to try to figure out like what is it that you really enjoy doing and what you're good at. And try to combine those two into something. And you'll be happy and you'll make money.
And what advice would you give to your 13-year-old self who made that terrible profile photo?
I would say, don't worry. It'll give it a couple of years. It'll be better. Don't worry. Keep trying.
What do you think you've learned the most by being this young?
Even a particular career, like people are so focused on, I have to have this career.
Yeah, it was a lot to juggle with school because I always needed good grades. That was another thing I was always obsessive over. So it was a lot to juggle. But the biggest thing I've learned is I'm really not scared to fail. If somebody tells me, no, I don't like your idea, I don't like you, I'm like, cool, let's go our separate ways. I'm going to just keep trying. Mm-hmm. So that's the biggest thing I've learned is I'm not scared to be told no. I'm not scared to fall on my face or to look stupid. So
Yeah. You can't take rejection personally in business like that.
You can't. Rejection is an opportunity to learn. It's cheesy, but it's the most true thing I've ever heard. So
cool. Well, I think it's been so fun to talk to you and learn more about all the different things that you do. And I think, like Jen said, it would be really fun to catch up down the road and see how things are and where they've grown. And it's been a pleasure talking with you.
That sounds great. And I've loved being here. Thank you for having me. You gave me an opportunity to talk. That's my favorite thing to do.
Well, we're going to talk a little bit more because at the end of each episode, we ask the same 4 questions to each guest. And Connor starts with the first.
What is one action that women can take to make a big difference in their lives?
I would say to not be scared to try new things, to go out there and just experiment in the business world, like see what resonates with you. And if it doesn't work, try something else.
And what is the best habit that keeps you motivated personally?
I wake up at 5 a.m. every day. Usually on the weekends, let myself get a little lax with it, but I get up at 5, I work out, and then I just start my day. So I keep that that pattern.
Yeah. What time do you go to bed?
9. My mom calls me an old lady.
I don't know. I mean, I can be in bed at 8 o'clock some nights. So
I've been in bed at 7 p.m. I'm not ashamed.
For sure.
What's your favorite horse movie?
I like Spirit. I'm classic with that one. That was a good movie.
Have you watched the Netflix series based on the movie?
I have not yet. I'm not a big TV watcher, but now I'm gonna have to.
Yeah, it's pretty good. My kid likes it. So
okay. I'll watch that this weekend. Thank you for that.
And who would you recommend to be a future guest on this podcast?
I would say Kelsey Keithley. She has Norfleet Marketing. She grew her business, and it's very impressive. I've known her for many years. She used to write for the same magazine as me. This very nice lady. She's a hustler. She'd be great to talk to.
Awesome.
That's great.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thanks so much. It was great talking with you, and we wish you the best of luck in all of your endeavors.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Well, Jen, I can certainly see why you wanted to have Kat on the podcast. She's really charming and great to talk to. And, she started her first business when she was 13. So I think it's so cool to talk to young women like that and see, why they wanted to do it. And she certainly had motivation because she wanted to horse show and she had to pay for it. So I think that's really cool.
Yeah, I really thought that she was like kind of a fresh perspective, right? Being so young. And so often we have people who are seasoned business people and their advice is great. But I thought it would be really nice to hear from somebody younger who's just kind of going through it, has done a lot already, super interested in business as a whole, trying different things, hustling in different areas. And I was super impressed that she just reached out and went for it. And he was like, hey, can we have a call? And I appreciate that. That's exactly what Equestrian Business Women is about.
Yeah. Yeah. And I love her. She was candid about everything. She said, like, my mom invested in my business and here's where we're at. And it was cool to see her be able to talk easily about what she does and why she did it and how she's doing it. I thought the Facebook and the LinkedIn advice could be helpful for people.
Oh, definitely. And like the strategy and knowing that strategy from such a young age to gain followers and everything. I mean, I don't know if I would have thought of making a bunch of different groups to put my own stuff in and,
No, me either, for sure.
So I mean, my mind's already working like, oh, how could we make something like that work for us? Right. Like, so no, I enjoyed it. And from the first conversation I had, I've already connected her with a few other people because I feel like she's somebody that, is going to make connections and isn't afraid if they don't go somewhere, but it'll be great if they do,
Yeah. That's such a good mindset to have. And I think that's something everyone can take away from this is, like she said, I'm not afraid of rejection. If it doesn't work, that's fine, but I'll learn from it either way.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do think you need to have that attitude. And also I like her perspective on sales that, she's trying to just network with people. And you know what? You never know who you're going to network with and what it's going to lead to.
Right.
I know it's funny. I was talking to a coworker recently and she was saying that about me. She was like, you're really good at like networking with people. Like you just know somebody who knows somebody somewhere that does something. And I was like, I guess, yeah, like I don't really think about it a lot. It just like, it's one of those easy things.
And what's what you do naturally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, I really enjoyed the conversation. I think it was fresh and great to hear. And I think she had great perspective for being so young. And I think she should be an inspiration to a lot of people.
I agree.
But I am sick today. And so I apologize for my voice to everybody. And
I really didn't notice it.
Well, that's good. I'm glad because I've been putting myself on mute and sneezing and hacking over here. So I think I'm going to call it a wrap for today. And you can find the links to today's guests and the show notes at www.eqbusinesswomen.com. Equestrian B2B is out twice a month on the 1st and the 15th.
You can find out more at eqbusinesswomen.com and follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Find Equestrian B2B wherever you get your podcasts and be sure to follow, subscribe, and leave a review so more people can find us. You can have all 20 plus shows of the Horse Radio Network with you wherever you go with their free app for iPhone and Android. Go to your app store and search Horse Radio Network.
Now go take a chance.